Welcome to my channel. You are tuned in to Consciously Spiritual, and I am the girl TaRah Tales. And who is TaRah Tales? I'm glad you asked. I am establishing the person that I am meant to be. Although TaRah is not my birth-given name, it is now time for me to establish who I am in this world. And it's a funny story how I came up with that name when I decided I was gonna put myself out there and start a YouTube page. So how did that come about? Well, if you know me personally, you know I was named Taylor at birth. I am trained as a nurse and have worked as a nurse for the past 7 years. And at the hospital that I worked at for the past 6 years, my name was TaRah Johnson. I informed HR, I don't know how many times, that my name was not correct. So every time that I would go to scan medications, it would say TaRah Johnson, not Taylor Johnson, okay? So I think I informed HR maybe 3 times that my name was wrong when I dispense medication. Now, when I log into the system, it says Taylor Johnson. But only when I dispense medication did it say TaRah. And I'm making that distinction very clear for a reason, because it's the same system now, right? I log into the system, Taylor Johnson. I go to scan a medication, TaRah Johnson. And I just thought, like, how could they mess this up? How could they mess this up? But since they know it's me, clearly they know the issue, and whatever reason it has not yet been fixed, I'ma just roll with it. I didn't say anything about it. After the 3rd time, I'm like, hey, whatever. Now, fast forward, about 1.5 years ago, I decided to quit this job. It was stressing me out. Although I could do it with my eyes closed, and half the time I usually did, because I was just working so much, 5 days a week sometimes, always understaffed, so it was plenty of overtime money for me, so I took advantage of that. But anyway, I digress. About 1.5 years ago, I decided to leave the job because I was very stressed. I was no longer happy with being a nurse. I was not being fulfilled in my position. I walked away. This was also about 1.5 years into my consciously spiritual journey, and we'll get to that in a minute. So I said, okay, cool. It's time for me to revamp myself. It's time for me to get into, who I really am, who I'm meant to be. I didn't believe in Western medicine. I was knowledgeable that, we were slapping Band-Aids on gunshot wounds, as far as only treating the symptoms, which was not at all why I got into medicine. I am a scientist by nature. I have been curious about the human anatomy. I have been curious about just overall how things work and why they work, how they work, which got me into science, which my first degree is in biology. I have a bachelor's in biology from the illustrious Tuskegee University. That's right. I am a proud graduate of Tuskegee University. And then I decided, okay, I always wanted to be in healthcare. Originally, I wanted to be a doctor. I decided, I don't need all that debt. They don't make too much more than nurses anyway, to be honest. They live a much flashier lifestyle most of the time, but that's a whole nother conversation. Long story short, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to nursing school, thinking that I can be helping people, healing people, nurturing people, all the things that embodied who I am as an individual. I decided that this is the route that I was gonna go. And when I decided to leave that, due to the realization that it was time for me to now focus on my spiritual journey and not my physical human journey that I have already accomplished, I said, you know what? I need a new name. I need to reassert who I am in the world. Now, we're going to get back to why it was so important for me to give you all those details about TaRah, and about the fact that while I was administering medication, while I was at this hospital, my name was never correct in the system. All of that plays a part. But I made a few little notes so I don't get sidetracked, so you all can understand that this is a passion for me to be able to sit here and speak to you, for me to be able to tell you my journey, my experiences, so that if you are going through the things that I went through, if you are the outcast of your family, if you think far differently from anybody in your nuclear family, your inner family, you know, the people that you grew up with, maybe it's time for you to discover the more spiritual side of yourself. You are seeing this video for a reason, regardless of if you're just a close friend and family member that wanted to support my channel, so you subscribe. You are seeing this for a reason. There are no coincidences, and that is another thing that I have learned on my spiritual journey. So I came up with this name because of everything I just described, and because it's also a play on words. I spell it T-A capital R-A-H, and the R-A-H is Ra. Ra is the sun. It brings forth good energy, which is exactly what I want to leave you with every time I speak to you guys. Okay? Now, I've been on this spiritual journey, consciously on this spiritual journey, and I want to make that a distinction as well. I've consciously been on this spiritual journey for three and a half years now. I would say since the early 2019, maybe late 2018, early 2019, I have been consciously on this spiritual path, meaning I have been aware that what I am doing is to raise my consciousness. I am aware that what I am researching, what I am looking into, the books that I'm reading, the people that I'm following, I'm doing it with the purpose of developing myself more spiritually and holistically. Now, unconsciously, I've been saying that I'm spiritual for maybe 20 years. I would say 17 for sure. The first time I remember saying that I was spiritual and not religious is because I was telling my mom that I didn't think I needed to go to church. And I wanted to say I was about 15. So I knew very early on that a lot of the things that I was accustomed to doing to appease family, to, you know, seem normal, to not go against the status quo, it just was no longer an option for me anymore. I knew it was time for me to dig deeper into the things that I believe and to make it apparent to the people that I love and the people that are in my life that this is who I am now. This is what I believe. And although you may not subscribe to my same understandings of information, or you have not yet heard or learned of some of the things that I've learned of as to why you may have a different opinion, or you can simply be aware of everything that I'm saying and just totally not agree, and that's totally fine. But I no longer wanted to be the person that only did what they say, what's the cliche, go along to get along. I don't want to have to show up at Easter dinner, and I don't want to have to go to church on Sunday just because that's what was normal. That's what my family does and things of that nature. I didn't want to be the person that had to stifle and lessen my expression of me just to be accepted. I was over that. Okay, so that's that. But I began researching more about what it means to be more Afrocentric, to have more pride of self around 2012. I was in school, in college in Alabama. I was seeing a lot, and overall, I had a lot of options of where I wanted to go to school, but I specifically decided I wanted to go to the South because, get this, I wanted to see what racism was like in the South. We had seen all of these movies, documentaries. We learned about it in history. Everything was civil rights, civil rights, civil rights. So I felt that there had to be some type of spiritual connection to the South, to my ancestors. The energy just had to be different. I'm from the North. I know what overt and covert racism looks like now, but I understood what racism was like in the North. I understood how they would smile in your face and stab you in the back, you know. So I had to develop a certain set of skills of how to maneuver and how to play the game to get ahead in the North. But I also wanted that balance of seeing, could I take it if somebody called me a nigger and told me that I was, I don't know, the filthiest animal they ever seen? Like, could I take that? Could I restrain myself? Would I choke them? How would I react if I was put in a situation like my ancestors were? I wanted to experience that. So out of all the schools that I applied to, I decided to go to Tuskegee, and man, it was the best decision of my life. So around 2012, I was dealing with this Muslim cat, right? And I had decided that I was just gonna, look into these different religions, more. I had known what Christianity was about. I didn't really know too many Muslims. I didn't know any Buddhists, so now I had met me one, right? And I wanted to get into it, and I wanted to learn, and because they were so well unified, and they seemed to possess a different type of collectiveness that Christians lacked. And for it to be such the dominant religion around the world, is really ironic how divided all of these Christians are. We got white Christians, we got black Christians, we got Muslim Christians. We have all types of different, ethnicities that subscribe to this one faith, but yet the collectiveness is not there. With Muslims, on the other hand, they seem to be able to unite very well, whether it's to blow up something or whether it's to meditate and pray 5 times a day or to fast during Ramadan. They seem to have it together. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and look into that. And I decided that, that seemed to also come with a lot of rules and regulations that just didn't sit well with me. My mom says that I'm a rebel and I always got to go against the grain or whatever, but when all the sheeps are going the same direction, they don't know that it's to be slaughtered. But the few that stay behind and go do their own thing, they live to fight another day. So it made sense that I go the other way to fight another day. And so you have it. Now, you've been hearing me say for a while that I'm spiritual and not religious. And what does that mean? Okay, I 100% know that it is a fact. Let me just put it like that. It is a fact that religion is a means of mass control. And that's on every level. That's on every different religion that I have looked into thus far. Have I looked into all? No, I have not. However, they come with a certain set of morals, values, standards, and code of ethics that are expected to be abided by. And it's simply coming from thus saith the Lord. Like, who is that? And who was writing these things down when, it was being spoken? Those were questions that I had for religion that the answers from different people just wasn't satisfactory to me. It didn't make enough sense that I can say, yeah, I'm a run with that. However, with spirituality now, spirituality is a science. Spirituality, it can be quantified, it can be tracked, it can be monitored for effectiveness. Different things can be done to track the progress, and it's not contradictory. Out of all of the different teachers and all of the different lanes that I have looked into when it comes to spirituality, they all seem to come back to a lot of the same principles, a lot of the same values, a lot of the same pretty much words. Some of the times these folks come out with the same information and just put their own spin to it. And I'll get more into what I mean by that. However, I have not read anything in one book that is totally contradicted in another spiritual book. Not once. Not once has that happened to me. I have listened to multiple teachers. I have studied different books about different subjects that seem completely unrelated, but all of it comes down to a few simple principles. And these principles, which apparently governs the entire universe, is the main thing that is lacking in religion. Like, religion has not at all taken into account of these 7 hermetic principles, which I'll get to in a second. However, before I move on, I want to shout out most of my people that I just said I listen to, study from, who's giving information, giving all of these books that I've started to collect and read. I want to shout them out because during this process, which I said consciously began around 2019, I started off with a book about chakras. And it's quite trendy nowadays for people to be talking about chakras, for everyone to know what a chakra is, good vibes, good vibrations. All of that is very common knowledge now within these past few years. But for me in 2019, I had no idea what a chakra was. But when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The first book that I bought regarding the chakras was due to a young lady by the name of Pretty Boss. I believe she has a YouTube channel. She spoke about the chakras. She said that you should get a beginner's guide so that you can understand the fundamentals. And I'm a beginner. You know, I'm consciously aware now that this is the path that I want to be on. So I want to start with the basics. Don't get too heavy and deep on me. I want to start with the basics. So I got Chakra Healing. I'm sure you have seen this book on Amazon, on somebody's TikTok, something, because it's one of the most popular ones on Amazon, which I'll put a link to this book on Amazon in the description at the end of this video. However, I read this book at work and my whole life was like opened up even more. I understood so much more about my temperament. I understood so much more about different things that trigger me. Now, just because I'm aware of them now, I'm still a work in process. So, you know, I'm a beginner. Just work with me. However, Pretty Boss, going throughout some of her videos to see what she talks about and, you know, how she began on her spiritual journey, said that she learned from somebody by the name of Brother Panic. Oh my goodness. Okay, so of course, since I'm listening to her and she seems to be educated and she's referencing things for me to read, I'm gonna go to her teacher. If this is who she learned from, then I need to go to the source where she got a lot of her information from, because hey, apparently he knows more than she must know because she's learning from him. I went to Brother Panic's page and was hypnotized. Okay, I will also be linking links to these people who I'm mentioning, their YouTube page, in the description below as well at the end of this video. Anyway, Brother Panic, awesome guy, down to earth, cuss like a sailor, but it's okay. That's him. He does what he does. But the information that he drops, the books that he has given, just in general, has like completely changed my life. Now, I thought chakras was something. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can self-diagnose my personality. I can find out why, if my root chakra is imbalanced because of my childhood, if my solar plexus chakra is imbalanced because I can't seem to stay on a diet. Like, this changed my life and opened up my mind to want to know more. And when I got to Brother Panic, listen, he's so well read. First of all, I have spent I have now been in school 16 years of my life studying nothing. And in the past 2.5 to 3 years, I have read more books that have opened up my mind in so many more ways than I could have even imagined. It's like, what the fuck? Basically, it had me questioning, like, okay, why are they teaching us all of this nonsense? Now, of course, I know why. I know that the people in power want to stay in power. I know that why. First of all, why would I expect for the people that conquered us, put us into slavery, why would I expect for them to give me the same knowledge, the same information that their little babies have? Why would I expect them to give me the same information and think that it's logical that we would never rise up to be who we were before they conquered us? It never made sense. That was another like logical explanation that I said to myself, like, hey, why would I continue to follow this religious mindset and practices from a people that gave us this religious mindset and practices? Like, they came and they enslaved us. Now, okay, you're gonna say, hey, well, we enslaved ourselves too, and we had slaves, and black people had slaves. Okay, it is historically documented well how brutal, how bad, how treacherous they treated us. Okay, so therefore, I'm not aware of all the atrocities that we've committed against ourselves, besides the people who are shooting each other in the streets nowadays, but we're not talking about now. We're talking about the people who have enslaved us and who have remained supreme for over, 500 years, we're saying? So you expect me to think that the people who conquered us and gave us a book to find God, to live righteously, was going to tell us the truth, was going to tell us everything we needed to know to save our souls? Because they have to have been some bit of good, because now we are free physically. We're free physically. And now we're, being treated nicely by them. So they must have been giving us a book that made sense, right? Okay. If that's what you expect me to believe for the rest of my life, I mean, that's insanity. You're doing the same, what they say, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We as a people have been following this same book for the past 500 years, and we have been suppressed, depressed, and oppressed by these people who gave us this book. That alone, after about 100 years, I would think folks would say, hey, we might need to put this book down and go back to the way we were living before they came and got us and gave us that book. And that has been my journey. That has been my journey to find out, who were we? How did we live way before slavery was ever a thing? Way before we were ever oppressed? How did we live way before Egypt? Like, who were we? What is it about our culture that had to be taken? What is it about our culture? What is it about Black people that is so bad that they had to rip us away? The Mexicans know who they are and their culture. The Indians know who they are and their culture and their practices and all of these different things. Why did ours have to be taken away from us? So I wanted to get back to it. I wanted to get back to the original way of how we used to be. And Brother Panic put me on an awesome path to doing that. It started out with one of the best books that I recommend anyone starting out in a spiritual journey, or anyone who is deciding that the way life is going for me is just not the way that I want it to go. I want to be more in control of my life. I want to have more say-so in how things play out in my life. I don't want to just have coincidences happen to me. This book right here changed everything. Hidden Power: How to Unleash the Power of Your Subconscious Mind by James K. Van Fleet. First of all, I didn't even know what a subconscious mind was and that it was a real thing. I thought that it was just something that people say, oh, you just did that subconsciously. I thought that, because I'm able to break down words, subconscious. So conscious, you're awake, you're aware, you're moving about. Your subconscious, meaning it has to be in the back of your mind. It's not really in the front of your mind. But your subconscious mind is an actual thing. Like, it's an actual part of you. It's an actual entity that lives and pretty much dictates how your life unfolds. So everything that goes on in your life, everything that happens, everybody you meet, every situation you have, every car accident, every time you stub your toe, none of this is by coincidences. Like, there is no such thing as coincidence. The universe has 7 laws. Now, I said I was going to get back to that. The universe has 7 laws. Those laws are called the law of Tahuti, which is also called by another name, the universal principles. And you can find these 7 laws inside of a book called the Kabbalion, which I will also link in the description below. I don't have a copy of the Kabbalion. It's on my phone. It's not an actual book. However, the Kabbalion predates all of the Bible, what is it? Let's just stick with the Bible. Anyway, the Kabbalion. Now, these hermetic principles, we're going to talk about what a hermetic principle is in another video, but these hermetic principles dictate everything in the universe. Everything from the air, from the animals, to the water, to the fish, to the sun, to the earth, to the moon, everything in the universe. Everything, like 100% everything in the universe is affected by these 7 laws that we are never taught in school. We are never taught what the 7 laws are. We don't know. We don't even know who Tahuti is, which is a part of our culture. Our culture, we say we the oldest people. We subscribe to the fact that science has dated that the oldest man on this planet is Black people. So therefore, everything in this universe had to have come from us. Meaning Chinese medicine, Chinese science, Indian, all of these different religions, ethnicities around the world, all of these different things are us. But we haven't been taught it. We've been taught that this person and this country and these people do this and they do it that way, but we don't know any other way to do it than the way we've been taught by the man. And it's time for that to end. Okay? Now, Brother Panic is a guy from, where is he from? New York, who has been teaching spirituality and reading and studying metaphysics. Now, metaphysics means beyond the physical. So he's been teaching things that religion claims to explain, like things that we don't see, but we feel. Like, we all feel air, but we don't see it. It's beyond the physical. We can't feel, we can't grab air, but we know it's there. Because if somebody put us inside of a glass jar and we had none, we would definitely tailed in, right? So metaphysics is beyond the physical. Now, he was taught or studied with Bobby Hemmett. Now, some of these names, go ahead, type them right into YouTube, okay? Because their plethora of work will pop up. They are very widely known in the spiritual community, not the religious community, in the spiritual community. Bobby Hemmett. When I was getting into astrology, I studied under, look at me. I studied Sister Myra's work. I got books that she recommended and that she used and watched hours and hours of her videos. Phil Valentine, who amazing metaphysician. You know, these people have literally changed my life for the better. Like I'm not the same person, so I couldn't keep the same name. I had to become TaRah Tales. It is time for me to step into TaRah Tales. It is time for me to step into the TaRah energy and tell you guys about it, because after I give you the rest of these names, we're gonna read who TaRah is, okay? Because it adequately describes me as a person, my personality, the way I have lived my life, and everything that I have described to you thus far. And you'll see what I mean. Now, one day, Brother Panic was being interviewed by this young guy by the name of Brother Rich, who doesn't seem to be too much older than me. And so I was like, wow, who is this young cat? Now, the people who I've mentioned thus far, besides Pretty Boss is also a young lady. But after I was introduced to Brother Panic via Pretty Boss, I no longer needed her, because her information was, she came for the purpose of introducing me to Brother Panic. Let's just say that. Anyway, Brother Rich was interviewing Brother Panic one day, and so I went and clicked on his channel, and I'm doing the same things that I've been doing, going down the rabbit hole, watching hours and hours and hours of YouTube, learning and learning and learning and learning. And I discovered that, okay, Brother Rich, although he's not a teacher, he interviews all of the master teachers that have been in the game for years and years and years. This is how I've been introduced to Billy Carson and so many other people. And one day, another young man by the name of Brother Yosef came on Brother Rich's platform. And so I'm going down his page, and he's dropping information. And oh my goodness, like I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm overloaded every day. Like I pay for cable just because it's bundled with my internet, because at this point I'm rarely watching cable TV. I'm studying more than I have ever done before. I'm buying all of these books, and my family is like, what is going on with her? All she do is get off YouTube and da-da-da. And so they're not understanding. They're not getting that this is the calling that's on my life. This is what I have to do. This is what I came here to do. This part of my journey is meant to be happening now, and I just couldn't stop. Like I was hooked, okay? Hooked. So all of those people thus far have given me a lot of information that has been absolutely useful in developing who I'm becoming, okay? Now, when I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna create this YouTube page. I'm gonna let the people know that it's okay to be different. It's okay not to believe and to feel the things that you have been programmed to feel. It is okay. And because it's okay, I need to share with people the way that I have gone, the things that I have overcome, and just overall be real with you guys about the hard truths you have to ask yourself and you have to face in order for you to truly be happy within yourself. Most people think that when you have money and you have the house and the car and the clothes and the kids or family or whatever it is that you desire to have one day, that you will be happy. That's what we are taught. That is the American dream. Go to school, get a good job, buy a house, buy a car, get married, have kids, work, retire, and then die. Is that not the cycle? Is that not what we are teaching our generation after generation after generation? That is the purpose of life? Well, at 27 years old, I had already accomplished 80% of that. I had not only had, I went to school, got 2 degrees, I bought and purchased, built a home from the ground up. I paid off my car. I have an entrepreneurial spirit, so I was working hard and saving money so that I can eventually own my own business and live a nice and glamorous life and all of those things that they make it sound like is the way to happiness. And I was just like, I'm miserable. Like, this is not what life can be. Like, that's all is to life. Like, it can't be go to school, work, pay bills, have a family, and just die. You know, I quit my job, you guys. Like, I quit my job because it was no longer fulfilling me. Like, I'm making 6 figures and I'm under 30. How can I not be fulfilled? I'm going on trips whenever I want. I had no children. Like, what would possess somebody to say this is not for me? Because I was listening to my spirit and my soul was ready to begin its ascension. It is time. It's calling me. I can no longer stifle my inner spirit, my intuition. And when I followed through on the things that I felt, when I dug deeper into the rabbit hole of what I knew to be true for me, all of these things started to unfold, you guys. Like, all of these people started to come to me in ways that I had never imagined. If I never made the connection to Tara Johnson, once I was introduced to Brother Panic and he recommended this awesome book, the Encyclopedia of Spirits, when he recommended this awesome book, I would have never known that Tara is me. That is who I am. My physical body, my avatar, this person that you see here on camera was named Taylor. That's who I was. That's my everyday to day personality that was given to me. But now it's time for me to give to myself and in turn be able to give to you guys. And I had to give myself a new name, guys. So let's find out about Tara. Now, this book, The Encyclopedia of Spirits, by Judica Ilks. Okay. The Hermetic laws, which we'll get to in another video, lets it be known that everything is energy. Everything is controlled by energy, and all energy has a vibration. It has a color. It has a sound. Okay? And now science is revealing all of these things that they, of course, have known since they stole us from the African lands, and supposedly, you know, we were just running around with naked and shooting goats and deers. That's what we have here in America. Whatever animals are indigenous to their elephants and stuff, when we were just being wild creatures, they stole all of this ancient information and have been using it against us. To the point that they put it directly in our faces and we don't even recognize it. Okay? Everything is energy. Spirits simply means to have breath, to have life. It's a spirit. It doesn't mean you have a body. It doesn't mean, like, air is a spirit. It's an energy. It's something that you need. The sun gives off energy, but is it alive? Does it have a body? No, but it has energy. So these spirits have been giving names or personalities because they don't have bodies. They don't exist. They're not here on earth, but they're an energy that we have subscribed to for a long, long time. And this lady who channeled this information will listen. Let me just get to this, okay? Everything is energy. I 100% believe it is true. And if you don't believe it, just try to go a week without sun. People die from being in basements and caves and things of that nature, because why? The sun gives you vitamin D. It's an energy, but it doesn't have a body. So let's read about Tara. And this is why I was even further convinced that this is why I had to put that energy out and embody that energy. This is who I am. I am Tara Tales. Now, Tara, the origin is India. Tara is the preeminent Tibetan Buddhist female spirit. But before she was a Buddhist deity, Tara was an Indian goddess. In India, Tara is a tantric goddess, possibly originally a tribal goddess. She is fierce, not serene, like the Tibetan Tara. Tara roams forests and battlefields, often in the company of Shiva. Now, Shiva is another energy, also known as the Kundalini energy, but we'll get to that another time. India's Tara is Lady Wisdom. She bestows sacred and mundane knowledge. Now, I can teach you 1 + 1 = 2, and I can also teach you the Hermetic laws, like the sacred side, the spiritual side, and the mundane, everyday, human to human side. I can teach you those things. Tara protects against danger, disasters, violence, and illness. Now, there has been many times, and I'm gonna just be honest, I live in a pretty decent neighborhood, and I went to work multiple times and left my door completely unlocked. Alarm was not on, and I have yet to have anyone break in. My neighbor just a couple months ago ordered an Amazon package. All of my neighbors that I speak to, or that speak to me, who I have seen, I should say, have had packages stolen off of their porch, and little old me will leave packages for days on the porch. Nothing ever happens. All throughout this pandemic, I've worked in the hospitals, and I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm not washing my hands 30 times in an hour. I use a little hand sanitizer every now and again and go about my way. I'm not the overly, oh my God, everything has germs, let me bleach everything down. I'm not that girl. I'm not. But I'm also not worried about it either. So therefore, I don't draw or attract that energy. I am rarely sick. I probably have been sick in my lifetime. I can remember having, I would say I'm 31 right now. In the 31 years that I remember, I have probably been sick, let's just say less than 10 times in my whole entire life. Like, and that's that's overreaching. I can probably count about 7 different times that I've been sick that I can absolutely remember. Like, I was sick, I was not ill. 7 times in 31 years. Like, seems like it's time for me to step into my power, because clearly Tara is trying to connect with me. She wants me to get on her energy, on her frequency, and be one with that energy. Embody it. She performs feats of healing and fulfills all desires. Now, I told you, I've been a nurse for almost 7 years. I did it with my eyes closed. I remember working almost 13 days in a row was the most shifts I had ever worked in my life. 13 days in a row. It was ridiculous. But the money was amazing, so I did it. Now, Tara is young, small, and although not pregnant, has a big belly, is considered a sign of power. She wears her locked, matted, long hair in a bun, ornamented with beads and skulls. First of all, I thought it was so weird that so many people came up to me randomly over the past 10 years and told me, you should lock your hair. I think you would look really good with locks. And I'm like, what? First of all, this was a sign to myself. Me deciding to lock my hair, I decided to lock my hair May 25th. My homegirl called me up to begin my lock journey, and I felt like I was doing a big chop again, you guys. Like, I really did. Now, I did a big chop in my hair back in 2012 when I had my very first out-of-body spiritual experience in Tuskegee, which I will absolutely, that's a whole video in itself. But I chopped off all of my hair after that situation happened to me, because my eyes were opened they were open. I just didn't know what it was open to. I was still unconsciously spiritual, you know, but they were definitely opened after this scenario. And I cut my hair. My hair was shorter than my nail. You see how long my nail is right there? My hair was that short for about 9 months, and I rocked it. Do you hear me? I would definitely be posting some pictures of that, because baby, me and that short fro, we was one. And I was so surprised how I loved the way it looked and the way it felt on me. But most importantly, it was a sign and it was a symbol that I was ready to grow. I was ready to start over. I was ready to purge all of that permed hair, and our hair holds energy. You know, our hair is, oh my goodness, it has so many amazing properties as to our connection with the divine energy of the universe. Okay. So when I decided to do the big chop, it was like I was purging all of that, what was. I was purging that because I was ready and I knew I was entering and shifting into the next phase of my life. And now, May 25th, I finally made the decision to lock my hair because I knew it was time for me to step into the next phase of my growth, of my development. It was time for me to become more spiritual and leave and put aside the physical, the worldly things that I had been so caught up in, the American dream that I had been chasing. I had satisfied enough of my ego in that way that I was ready, and I knew that it was time for me to take the journey into the next version of me, which is the spiritual side of me, the higher side, my highest self. It was time for me to step into that. And baby, I took that journey full, like I went full in. Okay. I went full in and I was like, you know what? I'm doing it because it was a sign of commitment. It was a sign of me committing to myself. Like, I've been in relationships, long-term relationships my whole life, and I was always committed and loyal and dedicated to other people. Never showed myself that same type of commitment, that same type of discipline. And I was ready. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing it. So when I decided to make this YouTube video, now mind you, I locked my hair May 25th. This is being recorded. Well, it's now been almost 47 minutes in. So we're now into the next day. But today is June 6th. It's now June 7th because, like I said, we're into another day now. So it hasn't even been a full month, right? Okay. And I said I'm gonna do this YouTube video, and when I decided to look up TaRah, because I knew that was gonna be my name, I had read books on TaRah and the healing energy and the power that she possesses, and just all of the attributes of TaRah. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And I was called TaRah when I was back there medicating people, giving them poison. So now it's time for me to medicate people and help them to heal their souls, their mind, and their body. Like, it's time for me to step into that. And then I get to reading the description. Now it says the manifestation. Okay. It says the manifestation of TaRah, meaning how does TaRah manifest here in the physical reality? Because remember, TaRah is an energy. It's a frequency. It is not a person, but the way that TaRah manifests in the physical, I'm going to read it one more time for you. TaRah is young, small. I'm 5'5". I'm not too tall. And although not pregnant, I'm not pregnant anymore, has a big belly, is considered a sign of power. She wears her locked, matted, long hair in a bun. Now, if you know me, you know I love me some braids. And every time I get box braids, baby, I'm bunning it up. I'm wearing it in a crown, a halo. I'm being creative. I'm putting that's me. Like, I've been embodying this unconsciously, but now it's time to be conscious. I am consciously spiritual now. I am aware of the things that I'm doing, and I'm doing it intentionally now. Okay? She ornaments her hair with beads and skulls. 8 snakes intertwine her body. I am the life path number 8. Do you hear me? I am the life path number 8, and we'll get to that, of course, in another video and what that means. But I am the manifestation of TaRah here in the flesh, and it is time, it was necessary for me to leave my job so that I would have the time off to take the time off to go deep down in the wormhole, watching hours and hours of those videos, buying all of these books so that I can discover the higher version of me. And that's what I've done, y'all. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? My family may think I'm crazy, but it has to be other people outside in the world that are going through these things, that are feeling this way. And I want to share with you. Listen, take that journey with me. Go down a rabbit hole, because I'm going to tell you everything I'm studying, all the things that I'm doing, and how I've overcome a lot of the things that I've been programmed with, you know, and how I'm deprogramming the intentional program that was given to me by the people that want to suppress my higher self. And I am now reprogramming myself with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of our ancient practices, okay? The way the gods and goddesses, hermetesses of the past laid it out for us in the pyramid temples. That's the person I'm getting back to. The person who I was however many lifetimes ago when I wrote on those walls. Because of course, reincarnation is an absolute fact, but you know, once again, a video for another day. Anyway, that's TaRah, and that is me. And I am here to share my journey with you guys so that you, if you so choose to analyze yourself, if you are ready to take control of the person that you ultimately know you feel that you are but don't know how to achieve, you ready to take that journey, come with me. If you are ready to release the baggage, release the pain, heal from everybody who treated you poorly, from everything that went wrong in your life, in your childhood, for the man that touched you, the woman that took advantage of you. If you're ready to do those things, if you're ready to manifest the life that you ultimately want, you are come to the right place, because I'm here for the beginners, because I am also in the beginning stages of my journey. However, I have made amazing strides in a very short amount of time because I'm an old soul. I have been here many, many, many lifetimes. Things unfold and are revealed to me very easily. I have always had the power of perception. I'll tell you guys this one quick story and I'll let you go. My mom only had one child. And so she's always so proud of everything I do, and everything is always worthy of a story about how awesome her baby is, right? And it used to, you know, bug me that she would brag on me so much and tell people all of these stories about me that I'm sure they didn't care about, right? But this one story she told me, and it's about the power of perception, because I'm very perceptive and I'm able to see, hear, and understand things that are not said. And I mean that physically, literally, and metaphorically. I know things without you telling me. And now, instead of just calling it intuition, I know what it is. And not only do I know what it is, I'm learning how to develop the ability to control it at will, to do these things at my leisure, not for them to just coincidentally happen. Oh, or you know how you have the moment where you was like, dang, I knew I should have got some gas, and now it's like 60 miles to the next gas station and you about to run out in 40. Yeah, that's what I mean. I know things without understanding why or how I know them. But anyway, I digress. The story goes, I was 1 year old and my mom and dad were fighting and arguing, which I can remember many times. My mom and dad divorced when I was four now. And I remember many times of them arguing, fighting. I remember this to this day, like 100% can see the house. I remember it. Most people can't even remember when they were 5 days ago, let alone when they were 1, 3, 4, and under 4. Nope. Who can really remember those things? People can. You can tap into it. But anyway, I was 1 year old and my mom and dad must have been arguing, fighting, or whatever. Probably might have been closer than 2, but you know, she said I was 1 year old, so we're gonna roll with it. But they were arguing and fighting, and I came out of the room and I started singing the Barney song, the I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. Now, the reason I say I was probably closer to 2 because, I mean, I'm singing at 1 year old. Like, I'm a baby prodigy. I should be somewhere famous right now for being so intelligent. But whatever age I was absolutely less than 4 because they split up when I was 4. And I know this to be fact, okay? Long story short, I'm under 4. I hear them fighting. I come out, I'm singing the I Love You song, and immediately the energy changed. Now, why is that? The power of perception. I had to be able to perceive and understand that them arguing and fighting was not good, and they were not happy. But not only was I able to perceive it, understand it, I decided to go out to give them some of my love, some of my energy, to hopefully let them know that we're a happy family. Like, really? So I say all that to say the power of perception has always been in me. I understand that it's hard to accept. It's gonna be hard to accept some of the things that I say because it's gonna contradict everything you've been taught. It's gonna contradict everything that you have decided to believe because you've been taught it for so long, and because majority of the world subscribe to those same ideas. But like I gave you the example the other day, well, it was the other day, literally. I gave you the example that when all of the sheep are running and trying to get into the gates, not knowing that they're running to their death, and the few sheep that straggle along and decide to go the other way and do their own thing are the ones who live to fight another day. And I'm that sheep. I'm that black sheep of my family. I'm that one that is clearly here to hopefully help to enlighten people to the potential that lies within. So I thank you guys for sticking around and listening to Who is TaRah Tales, and welcome to Consciously Spiritual. I love you guys for free. Peace.